constantly monitor this because it's going to be changing. You're going to get these pockets where you get the wind gusts that could get up there to about 60 or so on the speed on that. That is possible. Nothing has been confirmed on that, by the way. We haven't had anything higher than, at least in Louisville, we've only been able to get up to about 32 or so miles per hour with the wind officially at all the international. All right, let's take a look at the wind field on a broader scope across the area. See how windy it is along that line that is formed there in southern Indiana. Pockets, again, now developing into southeast Jefferson, Spencer, northeast Nelson County. And then you also have some gusty winds now moving in with that line, northeast Washington County and the western side of Jackson County as well. So kind of just a mess on the wind side, but still I'm not seeing anything that's excessive on that end, which is good. And we've had some hail. So far it's been under severe limits. Up to about half inch to up to about nickel size has been the size on the hail reports, and that's been in Livonia and into Henryville that we've had some of that heavier rain and hail combination. Let me get you back to that SkyTrack camera again. This is where now the rain has moved into downtown Louisville, and you can see it's just absolutely pouring out there. This is one of those setups too. If you're thinking you could sit in the car and wait this out and try then to run into the building you're trying to get into, it's probably not going to happen. You're going to be stuck in the car for a while. Sorry about that. But hey, if you're watching this on streaming on your phone in the car, at least you have something to watch, right? Because it is going to be just a prolonged period here. Again, I'm very concerned about Louisville and the Louisville Metro. I really think we will get likely a flood advisory at the very least that will come out for the Metro, and we could go into a flash flood warning status. It's possible because this is, again, very, very heavy rainfall rates there into Louisville as well. Showers and thunderstorms. What was that again? I'm on max 2 right now. Okay. I'm seeing 1, so let me know if I'm seeing something different here than what I should be. Let me get you back into Okay, we need to be on 1 if we can be on 1. Okay, all right. Hold on 1 second. Let me kind of switch over here. Ryan, are you able to help me out? Because I don't have any control anymore of what's happening here.
They're swapping out our computers.
Kevin's unplugging things. He's like the guy on an airplane that unplugs everything, takes the runway lights out. It's okay.
Okay, I've got max 1 up.
Okay, I'm on 1 here, or I'm on 2. So
it looks like you're on 2, but we don't have interactivity.
Okay, yeah, I can't control the radar on 2.
Give it just a minute.
But we'll get you through it. But again, you can see the radar view as we're getting that sorted out on the technical side. Again, you can see the tremendous lightning strikes. Right now, we're about, I would say, 500 lightning strikes across Jefferson County, moving into the heart of the city of Louisville. And again, producing likely some urban street flooding around the area. No reports of hail in the past few moments, and really I haven't seen a lot of the gusty winds as well that's been moving into the area. Now the lightning count looks like it's been going up at times. You see at one point it was about 1,000 that we had on the lightning strike. So we right now do not have any severe thunderstorm warnings that are in effect. That warning was allowed to expire for Northeast Jefferson and Oldham counties. That was allowed to expire at 3:30. So we are right now do not have any warnings. The only type of alert we got is a flood advisory. That's down into Adair County, eastern Adair County at that. But that could easily change here. In fact, okay, now there's a flood advisory. Here it is for the Louisville Metro, basically. Clark County, Floyd, Clark, Harrison, Washington, and Oldham County, and the city of Louisville. So this was fully expected. So now we got the flood advisory that is out, and that's officially until 6:45. I stress, I do think that's going to go up to a flash flood warning based on the radar trends, because this is trying to push south. The problem is another band is moving in, so it's going to basically just re-energize, if you will, the rainfall setup right across the area. Okay, there's the flood advisory that is out. You can see it right across Oldham County, around downtown Louisville, all the way back to the west as well, where we've got just those tremendous rainfall rates. And the last check I was able to take a gander at on that was roughly about 2.5 inches. This is a good 250,000 people that this is affecting, and we're getting close to rush hour right now. Schools are back in session, I believe, in New Albany, Clark County. I think it was today. Wasn't that today, Kevin? I think it was.
Yeah.
So it's a mess right now for the buses. So if you're waiting for your kid to get home, it may be a bit of a delay on getting them to the bus stops. I'm sure some of the buses are having to pull over because of all that as it moves on through the area. And again, this is not moving very much. It's slowly drifting here to the south at about 20 miles per hour. I don't think I've seen anything moving faster than that, with the showers and storms moving through. Kevin Harned joins me. Kevin, I know, first off, you had to deal with some of these traffic woes, too, trying to get in here. You can imagine having this now.
Yeah, this wasn't going on, an hour ago when I was driving. But I'll tell you what, when we look around the metro, and we have cameras that are out. So let me take you down to New just to show you the heavy rain that's falling there. We've got a live camera down on the streets. I fully suspect we're going to see some flooding in those roads that typically flood. Yeah. This is not massive, right? I mean, we have a flood advisory, likely to go to a flash flood warning if the rain continues like this. There are no severe thunderstorm warnings. And you say, well, why are you on? Well, here's the deal. We got a lot of people at home, school's back in session, the Olympics. Frankly, we have nothing better to do, right? We'd be watching this if we were sitting here on our own.
I'm supposed to get a haircut, but that's all.
Your hair looks great.
Thanks, Kevin. So does yours.
Yeah, both of them, right? I know the joke. Anyway, we do have the rain falling. It's it's going to come down for a little while. The deal with this setup that we've had in place over this week is repetitive tropical downpours with very strong winds. So for fans of Reed Timmer, if you're watching his update, called them the big wind bags. And they just sort of let loose. And
very hard to catch on radar and to give you a warning. So that's the reason why the Weather Service is like, you know what, we're just going to go ahead and put a big warning out to account for that risk. So far, we've been lucky not have anything confirmed, but it doesn't mean it hasn't happened. I mean, we may get a delayed report of a wind damage. So we'll keep you up if we hear that. But right now, it's been mainly just small hail overall. I haven't seen large hail. And I think the flooding is probably at the top of the list right now.
Yeah, it has to be with this. Once we get to that, kind of messy part of the radar where it's not that Boeing segment pushing through, it's more of a rainmaker. Now, that doesn't mean later tonight there won't be another cluster of storms that moves in that would be a wind maker.
And that's possible. Yeah, we're watching it because the Dakotas and Iowa, by the way, are getting absolutely hammered with a big-time super weather outbreak there. We'll get some of that leftovers later tonight, and that will be something we'll have to just fine-tune as we get into later on for this evening. Ryan Hoke is standing by, too, with an update. Ryan, we've been watching this evolve here. It's been kind of slow to get evolved, but now that it's there and it's getting its act together, now we're getting to the core of some of the heavier rain here at a really bad time of day.
Yeah, you guys were talking about hail. We do have some hail reports coming in from MPing this afternoon here. One report of dime-size hail in northern Clark County. That's up a little closer, if we can take Max 3 full there, a little closer to Henryville, Indiana, the Memphis area, and then just scattered pea-size hail reports. Once again, this is going to be northern Clark County through northeast Jefferson County, a little closer to the Ford truck plant there. You see those little gray icons. Those are the pea-size hail reports. And then once again, a little closer to Middletown on the western side of the Gene Snyder Freeway. So this is not a big hail producer. So I just wanted folks to know, if you hear that hail on your roof, it is likely not going to be damaging hail, but it will certainly get your attention, along with the extreme rainfall rates that we're starting to key on here in the city, guys.
Yeah, and let me tell you, the lightning is horrendous, too. Cloud to ground. There's a bang right to the ground. So if you've got these storms approaching, the skies are darkening in the background, just let them move through. Seek that shelter inside. There are no warnings. That's the important part. However, the watch still exists for many of our communities until 8 o'clock. That's especially going to be true south of Louisville as we bring this initial line through the area. But look at the lightning that we have. All of the storms today will have a tremendous amount of lightning and the potential for that small hail, but it is very warm. We're at 79. That's rain cooled. We made it into the 90s today. That heat index pushed in some cases above 110. So it just gives you an idea of how much humidity, how much moisture is in the air. It is a very juicy setup, we would call it, and that just means a lot of heavy rain pushing through. We can show that to you in a multitude of ways. This is just one on the radar view. I'm going to zoom into our home view and then go back to the metro.
And Kevin, the Weather Service did say they are monitoring for an upgrade for a warning there for a flash flooding, so they are watching that.
Yeah, and if this persists, especially with what's coming in behind it, you would think, depending on the forward speed of this, that we're picking up some intense rainfall totals. we can often gauge based on how much rain we've previously had, how much it would take per hour to see that flash flooding occur. And we're probably getting close to that limit when you look across northern Jefferson County.
2.63 right on Prospect.
All right. So we've had some incredible rain totals in the metro. We can look at those based on the MSD based on the MSD rain gauges, and we'll put them in. Look at that. 2.63, 1.96 Springhurst. Work your way down to Middletown, J-Town, ½ inch to 1 inch. Far less over towards Shively, working your way to the downtown area. But we do have those heavy thunderstorms. When I was driving in, or at least attempting to drive in with the stalled traffic everywhere, folks were texting, hey, I'm at Kentucky Kingdom. The kids were under a canopy. What do we know? Like, get in shelter. Lightning moving in. So that was just about an hour ago as these storms approached. Again, no warnings. That's the good news. This live view. SkyTrack camera from downtown. It is raining cats and dogs outside. We can adjust our cameras. We have a number of them. Speaking of Kentucky Kingdom, I'll ask Brian to adjust our cameras just to kind of give you a little tour of the cameras that we have across the area. And you're going to notice it's raining heavily from southern Indiana down through about central parts of Jefferson County. But farther south than that, there's not a ton of rain falling. This is Paristown, so this is just off toward the highlands. You can see the tops of the trees swaying. Maybe more visual would be those flags in the corner of the screen, but heavy rain falling. Now, we have additional strong thunderstorms just off to our south. This is Elizabethtown just moving in, and parts of Bullitt, Jefferson, Meade, and Floyd counties. No warning, but a little push from the Weather Service to say strong storms moving through. This is what it looks like when you are approaching. Those storms are approaching you. Again, E-Town, you'd be soon to be in line for these thunderstorms moving in. All right, let's go back. Again, no warnings at this point. Potentially a flood warning. Could have some pockets of wind moving in as we approach these storms are moving into an area where they're going to have the ability to continue to intensify as they get south of Louisville. So all of them producing heavy rain, lots of lightning. We've got more thunderstorms moving through Washington County, Salem. You're going to get hit again. Borden, Scottsville, New Albany. More storms will be moving through over the course of the afternoon and even into the evening hours. I'm going to zoom the radar up. Again, that heavy rain stretching right along 64 from Corydon into Floyd County, back across northern Jefferson County, almost all of Jefferson County. Okolona, it's moving into your area. Fairdale soon will be. PRP, Valley Station, brace for impact with these heavy downpours moving in. Not necessarily severe, but a lot of heavy rain and a tremendous amount of lightning. Brian, this is one. I know when you were tracking it earlier today, you said 3 rounds possible. This would be one round of those moving past.
Yeah, we're seeing kind of the combination of what happened of a boundary that came out of eastern Kentucky, one that moved out of Illinois. They're right over us at the moment. You can see basically how they have collided right over the Louisville metro. So it's nearly I would say, a perfect scenario, if you will, of a combination of those two boundaries. But look upstream. Again, a tremendous amount of moisture back in Illinois. This is all heading south and east. I doubt we're going to see much in the way of a dry push of air from the north here. So we're going to end up being stuck in a very humid and stormy pattern as we head into this evening. So I don't think we're done yet with some of those intense rainfall rates. Let me show you real quick. These are looking at cloud tops. When you get into the reds, you're talking about storms that are about 50,000 feet or higher in height. That is where you get those downdrafts and strong winds that push down to the ground level. A bit of a weirdness there on the radar. That's why it looks a little bit of a circle.
We're getting multiple reports of power outages from Nulu to Springhurst right now. Also, a large limb down in Old Louisville.
Well, we've got a camera in Nulu. Let's see if they've got power. Punch that up. We can see that camera view from our photographer down there in Nulu was showing the streets that were wet with heavy rain. Again, we're looking just to see if we have power. See all of those places look like they have lit up. There's Bar Vetti. That's next to the AC Lounge there. If we pan that camera around, you can see the rain still falling. But let's pan the camera and see if we can notice, again, the street lights are on. I see the hand that's up there in the crosswalk. So maybe some parts of Nulu, but not all of Nulu without power, at least. Sorry to interrupt, Brian.
No, you're fine. I was talking about the downdraft potential, which is probably what's happening there into northeast areas of Jefferson County. Let me show the wind fields. And again, a bit of a distortion from the radar beam, but quite a strong push of wind in the area, but this is looking at the radar itself as far as the winds aloft. At the ground level, it's a little tougher to find that. We'll see. Look at that little bar right up here and the top of the graphic. Monitor this as we're talking. If we start to get a strong wind gust at Ollie especially, you're going to know that. That'll change in that bar. So far, the highest I've seen is about 32 miles per hour with the downburst wind that we had earlier that moved through. But this is really just a bad sign here of not only strong winds, but very heavy rainfall, and also a good signal for downburst winds. Looks like very close to the outlets there, Kevin. So we may get maybe a camera view, and we'll check that out.
All right, we'll do that. Yeah. And then on those wider maps you were showing with the next sort of train tracks set up, we'll zoom that out next time. Show them that high pressure that's building out west. I mean, that's just a dome of heat out there. And our weather's coming around the edge of that. Call that the ring of fire. But around that high pressure, we wind up seeing just that repetitive northwest flow bring in these sort of pushes of energy interacting with the moisture that we have in place, giving us this very heavy rain setup and the potential for some strong winds. Obviously coming with a lot of lightning too. We mentioned that little outflow boundary pushing to the south, upwards of 40 to 50 mile per hour winds possible with that. Notice at the airport, it just now hit 40 miles per hour. So that was what Brian was indicating, like keep an eye on the wind coming out of Ollie International Airport, located right there. Now that wind is continuing to sort of push out ahead of these storms, but that, in fact, let me just put it on. We can show you the velocity on that. And that's where we see these collisions take place. So strong winds pushing through downtown, moving through parts of Butchertown, working your way down through the Highlands, moving south of that as you work over toward Parkland, pushing even farther to the south, eventually toward Fairdale, and near the airport, of course. That's where we're seeing some of these stronger winds at this point. They're still sub-severe. They're below 58 miles per hour. But again, they're still strong, 40 miles an hour. That's enough to, if you have weak trees down those, it's enough to cause some problems. Obviously, Ryan mentioned a few folks are without power in places. So that's because of some of the wind and pockets of wind that we have moving through. Why are we on? There's no warnings. Velocity shows winds coming in, 40 miles an hour. Not a big deal, right? Well, here's the big deal. Again, with the Olympics on wave, we're not on at our typical newscast time. So we want to make sure you're able to get weather information when you want it. We have the 24/7 weather channel, Wave Weather Now. It's Louisville's only live streaming weather channel. You can always go there and get up-to-date information. And when the weather is sort of active and moving through, especially on alert days, you'll find us live on there many times. Every day we're live on there many times, but even more so when we have the alert days in place. And the alert days are just meant to say, hey, we're keeping an eye on this particular day where weather could impact your plans. We could wind up with some strong to severe storms or inclement weather. Could be in the winter time, could be fog for the morning commute, could be a lot of things. We have criteria we follow to sort of declare a day an alert day. Today is one of those because of the intense nature of these storms. Obviously, we've had some warnings already today. We're under a severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock tonight. Let's go back to our radar view. Again, we've just sort of kept the radar view local. I can go back to our home view so you can see it's not just in Louisville.
They're discussing a warning here for flash flooding. So because they're getting reports now downtown on 65 being flooded near the gas station where you exit off at Arthur Street.
All right.
That little short exit where you get off and get right back on. That area is starting to flood apparently. So
we'll work on getting the Trimark camera for that.
Okay.
All right. So Ryan's going to sort of monitor some of that traffic. And then here we are in the afternoon. He's going to jump in with a full sort of update on that. We've got traffic cameras. We've got maps for that. We can show you that. So Ryan will sort of monitor the traffic. Brian is looking at the pockets of wind that we have across the area. But again, it's important to point out, Brian, and we'll just have a conversation here. Yeah. While there are no severe thunderstorm warnings, it really is as these sort of collide together, because this was one piece, this one to our north colliding together. It's happening right across Louisville. That's where we would be most concerned, not necessarily for severe weather, but certainly the potential for wind gusts and the potential for some very heavy rain, which is what we're seeing.
It's so complex, Kevin, because we normally would just have a wave of thunderstorms or a thunderstorm cell. We've got, I would say, 3 different boundaries right now, one north and south and eastern side of the viewing area, one in Indiana and one that's horizontal with 64. And they're all basically trying to feed on the Louisville Metro. And as we mentioned, they're trying to decide whether they're going to go with a flash flood warning. The flood advisory, you see it here behind me. That's in the northern part of the metro. They're going to extend that out, but I got a feeling since we haven't seen it yet, they may be typing up a, okay, there it is. It just kicked in. So they may consider a flash flood warning because we're getting reports now 2-3 inches, over 3 inches in the metro that is taking place. And that rainfall rate, again, is about 2.5 inches per hour. These are not moving very much at all. And that's going to be the biggest issue we're going to have, along with some of those gusty winds. Kevin, you were talking about the overall setup. We've got the storms building back to the west of us as well, that flow. One of the reasons why we've got this large high pressure, and we've talked about this before, being the ring of fire where the thunderstorms go around it. While we are doing our coverage right now on the flooding scenario, as you head toward Minneapolis and the Twin Cities, they are dealing with hurricane-force winds and very large hail. It is a massive outbreak that will be taking place in the upper Midwest tonight. Some of that activity is going to ride that flow right down toward the Ohio River. So while we've got this current flooding scenario that we're watching, we may get a small break, but we're going to get more downpours later tonight. The problem is now the damage has really been done. The ground is so saturated, it won't take much at all. Even just a decent shower overnight is probably going to prompt more additional alerts for flooding, Kevin, as we get into the overnight hours. So you got to be careful out there.
Yeah, and it begs the question. Everybody's like, man, how many days of this can we have, right? This is day 3. We're going to do it again tomorrow. We may even do it early Friday before we get the front out.
Yeah, exactly.
We have to get this area of high pressure you see behind Brian closer to us. We have to move that front through here. Right now, it's anchored in. There's nothing moving it. So we're just in this repetitive cycle around the high pressure. But the bad news is we've got more days of this. Tomorrow, we're likely going to see some more strong storms in the area, repetitive amounts of them, in fact. And then by Friday, we push the front through here. That gives us a better looking weekend. So after maybe 5 straight days of severe weather, at least by the weekend, we see some relief in terms of the severe weather chances. Still probably going to be hot, still going to be humid. The 10 days going to show that. But you'll notice our winds up to 46 miles an hour. So those are the gusts we've been tracking right through Metro Louisville. A lot of heavy rain and a lot of lightning. Let's go back to our live view downtown Nulu. Ryan is working on showing us Arthur Street, but you can see, we're not going to have a whole lot of flooding go on. It's not like Nulu's flooding. That's not happening. But it's just to point out that we do have the rain falling, and we have had some reports of power outages. That's what we've really been looking for. So I'm not sure if Mark the photographer can hear us or not, but let's look at some of those buildings and see if those that we have inside of the camera lens, especially as we look, I see a street light that has power. That's good news. So at least we're not disturbing the traffic in this particular part of Nulu, which is a very small part that we're looking at, I understand. So some areas could be without power there, the rain falling, but we're not looking at terms of, any kind of massive flooding going on. All right. It's just rain at this point in Nulu. Now, as this sinks to the south, repetitive rain is adding up in places. Arthur Street, Hill Street, places that are typically prone to flooding, especially in those viaducts or low levels where the road dips. Yeah, you're going to want to stop and not drive through those. Turn around. Don't drown, we say. Notice there are no severe thunderstorm warnings. We're going to stay on. Here comes
the flash flood warnings coming out for this good chunk of the metro.
All right. So again, Brian will jump back in with us on that when they issue the warning. The Weather Service has said they're going to issue.
This is probably going to trigger. I believe it triggers, if I'm correct, iPhones especially do this special alert for flash flood warnings. So it's going to be a very scary sound that I'm sure you're probably going to hear. I think it's flash flood warnings.
If it's a considerable, I think it might. So
okay, we'll see. But if you get a weird alert, just know that this is what we're talking about. We're on it here. So
all right, we'll come back to you as soon as they issue that. Let us know. But we know it's coming, so it just takes a minute for them to type that up. Let me zoom back in. I want to give you a quick radar tour, and then we'll jump over to get more reports from the traffic side of things. You'll notice, first of all, we still have storms right along 65 from Columbus through Seymour, Crothersville down to Scottsburg. As we lift the radar up, these showers and thunderstorms passing Salem will next move into New Liberty and Borden, western Clark County. Go down to southern Indiana. You get into Floyd County. The heaviest is now past northern Floyd County, but another wave will move in. Strong storms along and south of 64. That includes Harrison County, over into southern Crawford County, even Perry County. That includes Leavenworth, the Corridon area, pushing into, say, Floyd's Knobs, as well as New Albany, and then sinking it across metro Louisville, with heavy rain pushing across all of Louisville at this point. Some of the stronger storms have occurred up near Prospect, where you have over 2.5 inches of rain. Eminence working into Henry County, Shelby County, Spencer County, all seeing rain from Shelbyville to Taylorsville. It eases down toward central Kentucky, from Shepherdsville to Bardstown to E-Town, but all of this is moving in your direction, so that will eventually push your way. To the home view we go, and you'll notice the rain here in Louisville, with a flash flood warning coming out, is causing some problems. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke.
Yeah, I want to show you a couple of traffic cameras here. We were talking about I-65 at Arthur Street. That particular camera is beyond where the ponding is, but the closest camera we have is I-65 at Broadway. It can show the backup going all the way to basically Old Louisville and Louisville. But perhaps an even more impressive view, I-264. This is the Georgia Powers Expressway on the west side of Jefferson County here. This is at River Park Drive, and you can see the traffic is really backed up. Notice a lot of folks are trying to avoid the right lane. It looks like there is some ponding there in those that's south or, of course, eastbound there, depending on which direction that goes there. Here's the traffic map. It is red all over the place, at least orange, and you'll notice at least a couple of crashes that have been reported. One of those crashes includes eastbound I-64 right now. The left lane is blocked, the left shoulder is blocked, and it looks like the right shoulder is blocked as well, but the roadway is still open. That's at Gridstead Drive there. That is really close to the Cochran Hill Tunnel there, where we've got that at the moment, and you'll notice another crash. This time this is going to be on I-71, just past where you get to the split with 264 there. So if you've got friends or family trying to make it home this afternoon, again, we're approaching the 4 o'clock hour here, this is going to be really tough because of all the ponding on the roadways, the low visibility, and of course the couple of crashes that we have now. These are just the crashes we know about. Additional crashes are possible, and they may light up the map here, especially with the flash flooding that will likely take place, because this rain's really not going to be going anywhere for quite some time, guys. We'll continue to monitor, of course, the traffic maps, the cameras, and the radar is going to be a huge factor here.
All right, we appreciate that. I tell you, we have swimming on the Olympics this afternoon. So, and I'm just talking to our control room here, but when there is a time where competition is not taking place because they're issuing the flash flood warning, if there's a way for us to hiccup into NBC just to let folks know we're tracking this on our stream, that would probably be a thing we should do. So just let me know when that happens. We're watching that just to be mindful of those wishing to watch the Olympics. So it's not a severe thunderstorm. It's not a tornado warning. So I understand that if it doesn't happen anytime soon, that's okay. But if we can, we will. Let's jump back to it. Coming up at 4 o'clock, you're going to get the day's news. You're also getting nonstop weather information here because of the storms moving through. Ryan just gave the update, and you can now see indicated by this polygon across all of Jefferson County. It also includes southern Clark and a good chunk of Floyd County, or at least part of Floyd County. That is the flash flood warning. Let's go over to Brian Goode for the latest on that.
Okay, this is going to be a flash flood warning. They're going to extend this out all the way through this evening here. We're looking at the flash flood warning that's not considered what they would normally say in a big situation with flooding a city of considerable. Ryan was talking about it's just radar indicator they're going with, so a little bit of a lower end on the flash flood warning scale. Officially till 7 o'clock. So the reason why the rain may end before that time, but it can take a while for the water to recede in that type of environment. Let me give you some of the rain totals we've got. Here we go with 3.56 now into Prospect. At the moment, my phone's going off right now with the alert, by the way, so your phone's probably going off at home. You've got 1.21 Eastern Jefferson County, Fern Creek 1.47. And again, you've got nearly an inch of rain in J-Town. Where you see those yellow little blotches, though, that's where you've got at least 2 inches that has fallen, but that is all going to fill in. You're going to see a lot more of the darker greens and yellows here very soon. But that, Kevin, that's impressive. 3.87, and it's still raining.
I tell you, and equally as impressive as on the map that you have behind you, the pockets of yellow, some nearby may only have, an inch or so, but others where we don't have rain gauges, and I can put that up behind me too. When we look at the metro reports of the rain, you'll notice while Prospect stands out because the rain gauge is in the heart of that yellow at almost 4 inches of rain, there are other pockets not far from J-Town with upwards of 2 to 3 inches of rain. Same story just off to the not far from Fern Creek, even southern parts of Shelby County, northern Nelson County, with some very heavy rain that's fallen in these pockets. And that's, again, where we've seen the heaviest of the downpours. So when we go back to our home view, you're going to notice the rain totals, heaviest to our south, but pockets in the metro where we have had some impressive rainfall. As far as the radar is concerned, it is still heavy rain with gusty winds. Those winds 46 miles per hour, moving through metro Louisville, some rain and wind moving across southern Indiana. We're tracking that. I'm going to zoom in first to our velocity, and then as we go inside, we'll see if we have pockets of rainfall that are producing any type of wind. Let's go to our zoom tool here. I want to look at this little bowing segment going on in southern Indiana where we saw that bowing out. The strongest winds would be approaching Borden, it appears. Zoom back down. Center that up, and now we'll just pan it up. We're coming up on 4 o'clock. We're going to start the news at 4 o'clock. So whenever we need to throw that countdown up, if you want to do that, or if you want to keep us on here, we're going to do that, and whoever's in the booth can tell me how this is going to go. So here we go with Wave News at 4.
With Alert Day coverage now, this is Wave News.
A rainy commute for home drivers in Nulu as storms make their way through the area on this alert day. Thank you for joining us here for Wave News at 4 on Wave News Now. I'm Dawn G. In downtown Louisville, we have been hearing the rumble of thunder and heavy rain, so we'll have the weather impacting your evening plans. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned joining us first tonight for the Alert Day forecast. What a mess out there, Kevin Harned.
Yeah, it really is. Heavy rain and flooding rains. We have the flash flood warning that encompasses all of Jefferson County, parts of southern Indiana. Heavy rain continues to move through. Our wind gust to 46 miles an hour. That rain continues to press southward with a lot of lightning. So not only is it heavy rain, but it's producing a tremendous amount of lightning. You've got to stay inside and never drive through the flooded roads. This is the metro view. Heavy rain falling across the entire region, yielding rainfall totals in some areas upwards of 3 to 4 inches. And we can show you that from our MSD rain gauges. You'll notice the higher totals up around Prospect near the Springhurst area. Further to the south, you get down toward J-Town, not far from an inch. Lower totals down near Valley Station, but the heavy rain continues to fall all across Jefferson County. We'll go back to the radar view and point out that it's not just Jefferson County seeing the showers and thunderstorms. When we look at the home view in its own right, you'll notice, we've got it in Jefferson County. And while it is easing in the northern part where they've had the heaviest rain, you'll see more downpours coming in that direction. So the showers and thunderstorms for today are not over. We're going to continue with these heavy downpours. Notice these batches of rain pushing through. This one moving mainly to the east. So Carrollton, you're going to see heavy rain. LaGrange, Shelbyville, all seeing this rain. Areas to our south that have been untouched, places like Brandenburg, Hardinsburg, E-Town, rain is on the way. This is one of several rain chances that we're going to have stacked up over the next little bit. This rain is causing some problems. We've had heavy rain falling. Obviously, those flood-prone areas are flooding at this point. Let's go over to Brian Goode. He's keeping an eye on the idea that this is one round moving through, but we could have additional downpours later on tonight and certainly again for tomorrow.
Yeah, Kevin, let me show you. This is a map of the fuel, the storm fuel. Now, a lot of this is going to be extinguished for the heavy rain that we've got in the area. So this is cutting down already. But look back toward areas of Illinois and St. Louis. It is still very much a very unstable setup there. And they've had a heat index of about 115 across Illinois back to the south. Let's see, we got another severe thunderstorm warning, by the way.
Yeah, Jennings.
That just kicking. All right, up to the north. But real fast, let me add the radar onto this. And you can see the current storms that are going to be flying now in the center portion of the metro, which are now moving in, again, taking out some of that fuel. But we're likely going to see new development in this area of Illinois we have throughout the evening. And there is still a tremendous amount of water that is just flying through the air there. I mean, it's just high levels of humidity, in some cases getting close to record levels across West Kentucky into Illinois. So very heavy rainfall rates. And Kevin, this is an area that could easily just redevelop as we need to later on for the night tonight.
All right, that's something we'll be watching. One thing that we were watching a while ago, we noted when I gave you the radar tour, we said, let's look at where this is bowing out a little bit. This is why they put the warning at North Vernon. That is Jennings County, Indiana, under that severe thunderstorm warning until 4:45. So another 40 minutes on that, 60-mile-per-hour winds possible. That is moving right into North Vernon. Would not be surprised to see DuPont, northern parts of Jefferson County, Indiana, maybe even over into Ripley County eventually, seeing the storm continue as it sort of bows out and moves through, becomes severe. Now, that's the one that we have to our north. That's the only warning that we have in place outside of the flash flooding that we have ongoing in Louisville. And that's where we have the flash flood warning. Ryan Hoke has been keeping an eye on the impact of the heavy rain, which is also impacting afternoon travel.
Absolutely. We've got a couple of crashes out there. It's certainly slow traffic, regardless of where you're at here in the city. This is I-65. This is the southbound lanes of Broadway right here. You see how slow that's moving. It's because of ponding near Arthur Street, near Old Louisville and U of L. Let's take you to another camera view. This is I-64. This is the Georgia Powers at River Park Drive. This has improved somewhat, but that right lane there does have some water in it. This is moving southbound. Again, the western edge of Jefferson County we're talking about there. This is the traffic map. Look at all this orange and red. It is a mess out there. We've got two crashes to note. One is going to be I-64 eastbound right at Grinstead before you get to the tunnel there. And then once again, another crash at, this is going to be I-71, really close to where it comes together with the Watterson there, right at that kind of V shape there. So we zoom out, you'll notice that the city is the most afflicted here because, of course, that's where the heaviest of the rain is, right during rush hour. Not good. I want to hit on power outages for just a second here. Nearly 3,500 customers without power in Louisville right now. Last check, more than 1,000 customers near the Spring Farm area in Prospect, more than 500 customers in Newloo without power. So all of these numbers may go up here over the next little bit. The ground is so saturated, trees are coming down. Had one report of a tree down near Lake Louisville there, Westport Road in northeast Jefferson County. So send in your reports, of course, via social media and, of course, the Wave Weather app. You can submit your pictures and videos as well, guys.
All right, Ryan, thank you. Let's go through the big board. These are the warnings that we have in place. The thunderstorm warning is for Jennings County. Another 40 minutes left on that. We also have the flash flood warning. That includes the metro area, southern Clark, southern Floyd, all of Jefferson, Oldham, and Shelby counties. That's something we'll be watching as this heavy rain continues to move to the south. Our temperature is rain cooled at 73, but lots of upper 80s to the south. A juicy atmosphere with dew points in the mid to upper 70s means a lot of moisture in the atmosphere to work with. The severe thunderstorm watch is in place until 8 o'clock tonight. We've got our eyes on that as well. The radar showing those heavy thunderstorms pushing to the south. And when we look at the 10-day earliest alert, you're going to notice additional storms coming our way for tomorrow, and maybe even again Friday before we can get that out of here. So just to recap, the warnings that we have: severe thunderstorm warning for Jennings County, flash flood warnings for Metro Louisville. Dawn, we'll come back. We're going to be on again once you wrap up the news, but we'll be on tracking these storms through the metro area.
All right. Well, we've got more ways for folks to keep up with this weather. So just stay with us. Have that Wave Weather app, and we will take care of you. You know we will. Now, just in this hour, the Grayson County Coroner's Office is providing an update on a deadly boating accident that took the lives of 2 men on Rough River Lake. Ward Jollis has the new details in this Wave News Alert. Ward?
Yeah, Dawn, it was early Sunday morning, just after midnight, that the Coroner's Office says a bass boat collided with a pontoon boat on Rough River Lake. The coroner says the pontoon boat was stationary at the time and had its navigation lights turned off. 2 people died after that collision. They have now been identified as 46-year-old David Stomberger of Crestwood, Kentucky. He was the one who was driving the boat at the time, and then the other victim has been identified as 51-year-old Eric Derlotion of Floyd's Knobs, Indiana, a passenger who went overboard after the crash. Now, the coroner says multiple other passengers on both boats were either airlifted or treated locally locally because of this. So obviously a very serious collision we're talking about. The deputy coroner says he believes alcohol likely contributed to the crash, but of course we'll have to wait on individual toxicology results to find out for sure. Dawn.
All right, Ward, thank you. We'll continue to follow this story. A Louisville pediatrician who tried to hire a hitman to kill her ex-husband received the maximum sentence today of 12 years. Stephanie Russell pleaded guilty to federal charges of attempted murder for hire and stalking. She admitted to soliciting co-workers at Kids Life Pediatrics in Norton Commons to kill her ex amid a custody battle. She was busted when she tried to solicit an undercover FBI agent as a hitman. We learned the day she pleaded guilty, she tried to recruit others in the Oldham County Jail to kill her ex-husband. During today's sentencing, the judge reviewed 20 minutes of recorded phone calls and also heard from the ex-husband himself, who asked Russell to receive the maximum sentence. The judge agreed without even taking the second murder plot into account. Wave News reporter Mark Stevens was in the courtroom for sentencing where cameras were not allowed. He walks us through the dramatic hearing that's coming up tonight at 5 and 6 on Wave News. The 3 suspects involved in the road rage shooting that left 6-year-old Onyx Sands paralyzed were in court today. Edward Sark is accused of firing the bullet that hit Onyx, but Shelby Bisconner and Jonathan Rivera are charged with firing shots too. Wave News reporter Olivia Russell was in the courtroom and explains why Bisconner and Rivera want to be tried separately.
The motion denied to sever Shelby Bisconner and Jonathan Rivera's case from Edward Sark's, but their attorney claims there were 2 separate incidents.
The 3 defendants sat side by side Wednesday, but the attorney for Bisconner and Rivera doesn't want that to happen during trial. He argued to the judge that there were 2 different shootings. The first on I-65 at Outer Loop, where Sark is accused of firing shots from his motorcycle that hit and injured 6-year-old Onyx Sands. The second was several miles down the road at the exit to University Boulevard, where Bisconner and Rivera pulled their bikes over. The attorney said they were then hit by the vehicle and claims they fired shots in self-defense, but says they were not involved in the shooting that injured Onyx. The prosecutor told the judge it would be impossible to have a trial without mentioning the shooting that started it all, and they would be 2 identical trials. The judge ultimately siding with the Commonwealth on the motion to sever.
There's no way that the context of all of this doesn't come in, whether it's 1 trial or 2. And the only reason I think at this point it could potentially be 2 trials is because we have 1 defendant who is on hold indefinitely based on competency.
The trial date was originally set for August 27th, but because of delays in this case, both sides agreed it's not likely they'll be ready for a trial on that date. Instead, they'll have a status hearing to determine the future of this case. Reporting in Louisville, Olivia Russell, Wave News.
Just into the newsroom, the coroner's office has identified a man shot to death in the Russell neighborhood over the weekend as one of the suspects faced a judge on complicity to murder charges. 38-year-old Antoine Morris was shot to death on West Broadway near Esquire Alley Saturday afternoon. Jameer Smith was in court today. Police allege that he was the getaway driver. Smith's arrest report says he helped Adrian Burdett search for Morris. The judge kept Smith's bond at $250,000. Smith will be back in court August 6th. Meanwhile, Burdett is charged with murder and possession of a handgun. He will be back in court next Tuesday. New at 4, Jeffersonville Fire Department has signed on to an agreement to respond to fires in Utica Township. This comes after residents voiced concerns about response times for New Chapel EMS. It was a solution proposed in a meeting to Utica residents last week. The city of Jeffersonville announced an automatic aid agreement was approved today for addresses within the Utica Township Fire District. That means Jeffersonville will respond to all reported structure fires and rescue missions, and any medical call where a patient is unconscious or unresponsive. Fire Chief Sean Grant says the Jeffersonville Fire Department has the extra resources and it won't hurt their ability to respond to fires in Jeffersonville. Utica Fire, which does business as New Chapel EMS, said last week because of a lack of funding, they couldn't guarantee available firefighters around the clock. Students in New Albany, Floyd County schools went back to the classroom today. Parents have a new app to access bus information, but just to clarify, you can't use it to track a bus's real-time location. Not yet, anyway. Stop Finder is the district's new app that allows parents and caregivers to see their students' bus information. That includes the bus number, location of the bus stop, and time up, pick up, and drop off. Parents can also use the app to message back and forth with the transportation department. And while the app has the ability to track a bus's real-time location, the transportation director at NAFCS tells us they have that feature turned off for right now.
No, they're not able to track them. We don't have the GPS turned on for it. Eventually, we might be able to do something like that, but right now we just have it turned off so they can see the stop location and time.
He says they're hoping to use Stop Finder to share information on bus delays. We have a very busy alert day right now. Our storm tracking team has been with you most of the day. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned right now updating us on what is going on.
Yeah, we've got another warning that came out just a minute or so ago. This is for parts of Jefferson in Indiana, Trimble in Kentucky. So this is going to include the Madison area where winds are now gusting to 40 miles an hour. You can see sort of how this is bowing out. We pointed that out a while ago when we were looking at the Jennings County storm. Both of those warnings go until 4:45. So another half hour on these warnings as we press this wind through the area. Again, winds up to 60 miles an hour possible. The severe thunderstorm watch covers the entire area. The only two warnings that we have to our north include Jennings County as well as Jefferson County, Indiana, and then just across the river into northern Trimble County. It's where this piece of the storm is bowing out that we see the strongest of the winds. Heavy rain moving across Jefferson County, Kentucky, as well as parts of Oldham, prompting the flash flood warning and another flash flood warning across a very small part of Adair County to our south. All of these storms have gusty winds and a tremendous amount of rain and lightning. We've got our eyes on it. We'll pass along any updates as needed. Dawn?
All right. Thank you, Kevin, very much. We're going to take a quick break. We'll have more Wave News at 4. New at 4, signs around the Kentucky Center for the Performing Arts look a bit brighter now, as Louisville could be the future home of the Sundance Film Festival. Officials are now marketing our city to festival organizers since we have a chance to host. The announcement for a change of venue came earlier this month. Louisville was one of 5 other cities that are bidding to host. Other cities where you're competing with are Atlanta, Georgia, Boulder, Colorado, Cincinnati, Ohio, Santa Fe, New Mexico, as well as the current host cities, Park City and Salt Lake City in Utah. The Sundance Film Festival isn't planning to move until 2027. Two Louisville restaurants made Yelp's list of best new restaurants in the South. Mish Mish in Nulu, and also they landed number 2 spot. Yelp calls it a melting pot of Mediterranean flavors with a Southern twist. Big, huge congrats to them. And also Enzo in the Clifton neighborhood. They're featured number 15 with its blend of Japanese and Creole Cajun Southern cooking. Boy, look at that, how they're doing that. Well, a Louisville-based nonprofit just sent loads of medical equipment to Children's Clinic in Peru. The shipment is headed to the MMI clinic in Cumana, Peru. This is the 3rd container sent to MMI. They offer free care and physical therapy to more than 1,200 children a month who have cerebral palsy and spina bifida. Today, SOS loaded a container with hundreds of wheelchairs and mobility aids designed for children.
Load in the container, then it'll go all the way to the port in Norfolk. From there, it'll go to Colombia and then Peru, and that'll take about 2 months to get there.
SOS says in a release, families in Peru often don't have access to mobility aids, but they hope the shipment will help kids better engage with their communities. A big thank you to SOS. We'll be right back. The Olympics of Stenography is coming to Louisville this week. Contestants are tested on how fast and accurately they can transcribe dialogue through multiple rounds. Wave News reporter Marissa Burke visited them this morning and has a look at just how many words per minute these stenographers can type.
This week, the National Court Reporters Association is hosting their national speed competition at the Galt House. So we're going to give you an example of how this competition works.
It's that time of year when college students are making their way back to campus. Soon, picturesque quads across the nation will be filled with college freshmen anxious to start classes but unsure of the unknown. thinking about
So
the
there's a
annual return
live
of students
dictation
to campus.
happening,
You're
and the
not gonna be able to know
stenographers have to
everything
try
from
to
several months
type
ago.
as
She asked me to
fast
write an
as
article
possible
about
while
how
also
success.
being
I wanted
accurate. So
to offer advice
I'm
to
here
students about
with
how to enter
Debbie,
college.
who's
I
also
told
a
them I would be
court
happy to do
reporter.
that, but when
So Debbie, tell me a little bit about the training that these stenographers have to go through to get to the place that they're at.
we have several training programs across the country. Some are online and some are at brick and mortar. Very few, but mostly online. We also have a program, if anybody is ever interested in this profession, called Discover Steno, A to Z. And anyone can look that program up on the National Court Reporters Association website by just typing in discoversteno.org, O-R-G, and we have information on there how to take a 6-week program. It's free of charge. We provide you with a machine to do the program, or sometimes we just have a flat keyboard. So you can learn just the alphabetical theory of the program itself. And we teach you maybe a few words to write. So when you come out of that 6 weeks, you either know if this is for you or not for you. But
it's kind of like playing a piano.
It is like playing a piano. It really is. And so you're learning the alphabet on the keyboard. Each week we cover certain letters on the steno machine itself, and people really get a feel for it. And the majority seem to like it. When they get finished the program, they want to enter.
You've been in the industry for a few decades. Tell me about some of your, I guess the most memorable that have come because you've been a part of this industry.
I've been a freelance reporter doing deposition work, and also right now I am a federal official court reporter in Dallas, Texas. But I've also had a chance to dabble in the captioning industry and had a chance when I was in St. Louis, Missouri, to caption the Pope when he came through and visited. And also I've had a chance to assist a student who was deaf and wanted to get a degree in agricultural science. So I went to school with him and wrote his classes for him and sat next to him, and also learned how to do a lot of things in agriculture. So there's a lot of many facets to this field.
Absolutely. And the competition is happening this week. And if you are interested to see some of this action up close, you will have to leave your cell phones behind because you don't want to distract the stenographers. Reporting, Marissa Burke, Wave News.
It is interesting. Thank you, Marissa. Now, we will have more Wave News at 5, and we'll have your latest alert day weather report from the storm tracking team in about 2 minutes. Please stay tuned and stay safe.
Hi, everybody. Alert Day coverage continues. Kevin Harned with you from the Wave Storm Tracking Team. Our team assembled here. There are a couple of warnings to our north that we've been tracking. Parts of Jennings County down into Jefferson County, Indiana, and clipping extreme northern parts of Trimble County. That's a severe thunderstorm warning. I'll zoom into that. We've noted winds that would have the potential to gust upwards of 50 to 60 miles per hour with those storms as they continue to make their way off to the east. So that's that Boeing segment where we have the greatest push of wind. We have recorded winds not far from those levels near the Madison airport. Those will be pushing into northern Trimble County, perhaps parts of Carroll County shortly. Those are the only two severe thunderstorm warnings that we currently have. The additional warnings in play would be the flash flood warnings for Metro Louisville, southern parts of Floyd County, Clark County, Oldham County, as well as Jefferson County. Another flash flood warning down into parts of Adair County. That's the current setup on the radar. I want to show you the 10-day forecast, and then we'll get back into our long-form weather coverage. Tomorrow, we have a 60% chance for more storms, highs in the 90s. What this will mean is repetitive chances for these showers and thunderstorms moving in as clusters, much like we've seen the last 3 days. We'll see them again Thursday, possibly early Friday, drying it out slowly as we head into the weekend. That means a better-looking Sunday and Monday, but it is still hot. Temperatures in the 90s for Sunday, Monday, and Tuesday, even Wednesday, before another front moves in on Thursday. But we're in this pattern where high pressure is anchored in back out in the desert Southwest. And for us, what we have to deal with is the sort of rotation around that, which sending in northwesterly flow, which is increasing our chances for showers and thunderstorms repetitively over the last several days and the days to come. All right, let's go over to Brian Goode. He's keeping an eye on the sky as well. We've got heavy rain that's been falling in the metro. It's caused a few problems, especially for those out this afternoon on area roads.
Yeah, now it's a process of trying to get everything drained into the system. And that takes a while, especially in an urban area. You can hold on to that water. Hydroplaning is going to be an issue as we into the evening. So these are all the alerts that are out. The flash flood warning that Kevin was talking about is right in the heart of the city of Louisville. And we've had a flash flood warning eastern Adair County. Let me show you the loop here on the radar. Down into Adair County on the eastern side. Look how this rain has developed there in that flash flood warning and has just not moved. It's just been training itself over and over. You guys have picked up over 4 inches as well in the eastern side here of Adair County, just east of Columbia. So we are watching you guys as well. Quick update on the rain totals into the metro that we've been watching into Louisville. Right now, about 4.5 inches of rain into Prospect. Anywhere you see yellow, though, at least about 2 inches of rain has likely fallen in that area. We're going to get much more report on these gauges once the rain does ease a bit. But we are likely going to get additional showers and thunderstorms that are developing to the west, and that flow back toward areas of, say, Illinois, especially. It is very humid out there in Illinois. This will likely allow for more downpours to form as we have throughout the evening. And Kevin, that's going to be a concern for the overnight, because now that we've had 2 to 4, 2 to 5 inches of rain, even a shower that would normally produce, say, 1/4 to 1/2 inch of rain overnight tonight is going to cause some problems out there. So if you work overnight tonight, we're going to be in the darkness of night here soon in the next few hours. So as well, we say, turn around, don't drown. Just be careful traveling, especially away from the city.
Yeah, Ryan will give us a traffic update. Yeah. We've seen 65 jammed up. 71 was jammed up for a while. We've got the rain and its intensity causing problems as it moved through, but also some areas that typically flood are flooded, and that causes issues as well. Places like the Hill Street Underpass, areas down across northeast Jefferson County. I saw not far from Anchorage, we have some power lines that have been down. In fact, I can show you those. Let me go back to our sort of zoomed in view here. I'm going to zoom into Metro Louisville because we did have some issues when the heavy rain moved through. We haven't had a ton of wind, but evidently we had enough to cause a few problems. So if I look at the MPing reports, these are reports from folks just like you at home that have the MPing app. That's MPING. You can see we have power lines down not far from the Anchorage area, trash cans blown down along the Dixie. Those are really the only 2 wind reports we've had. But when we look at the amount of rainfall, Brian was alluding to this, we've had some areas in northeast Jefferson County that have picked up nearly 5 inches of rain. That's since midnight, while PRP, for instance, has seen far less. Neighbors to your south in Valley Station, 1.25 inches. So some of these heavy downpours have caused some problems across the area and will continue to do so over the next couple of days as these waves of heavy tropical-like precipitation move through. Now, the good news is the heaviest of the rain is settling to the south. The bad news is it has snarled afternoon traffic. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke for more on that.
All right, Kevin, as these rainfall rates lessen, things have actually gotten a bit better on our traffic cameras here, but there are still some issues. I-65 at Crittenden Drive, you can see the southbound lanes, or northbound, I should say, lanes there, all jammed up near U of L. You can see the clock tower there in the distance. Let's go to another camera here. This is I-71 at the Waterson. This is going to be your southbound lanes here. There is a disabled vehicle in the left lane. Police are on the scene there, but traffic is flowing pretty okay considering where we were about an hour ago as the rain really started to creep into the city here. Notice there is that one crash that we just talked about. Again, that's going to be I-71 southbound right there, right near the Waterson Expressway. As we zoom things out, you'll notice there's still a lot of orange and red on this map indicating where we have slow traffic, but so far no additional reports of crashes that I've seen, at least here in the last few minutes within the Jefferson County area. We, of course, went over some of the damage reports. I do want to expand out to areas a little closer to Corydon there, and then the northwestern part of Harrison County, also with some very minor damage due to the downburst winds with these storms. Power outages right now, over 3,500 customers without power in Jefferson County right now, and more than 1,000 of those are in a concentrated area right along I-71, close to the tunnel where you get on the Lewis and Clark Bridge there. So that's going to be an area of particular concern. Over 500 customers right now in the Nulu area, guys. So even though this is quote unquote just rain, we are having some wind problems with this as well. The ground is so soggy and soft from all the recent rain that it only takes a 40, 50 mile per hour gust to create some big problems.
Yeah, more to come, it looks like, over the next few days. Thank you. We look at the big board. These are the current warnings. You can see the flash flooding. Of course, those get extended out in time. So the flash flood warning for Adair County goes until 7:15. The flash flood warning for the metro until 7 o'clock, even though that rain is easing and the problems will subside. You'll notice the severe thunderstorm warnings will stay on while these warnings are in place. So that's 11 more minutes of us. And then we'll come back on as needed, but there's no reason to stand here and just talk about rain. The severe thunderstorm warnings to our north have been moving through. Let me go back and show you the radar. And with that, you can see those warnings are well to our north. I'm going to zoom into those. We still have a tremendous amount of lightning all throughout this entire area of precipitation. And the areas to our north, sorry, I hit the wrong button there. We go back to the selection. Let me zoom this back in. And let's go up to the severe thunderstorm warnings. I'll sort of just keep it on the storms to the north. Again, it's where it's bowing out. I'm going to show you the velocity on that so we can see inside those storms, give you an idea of where those strongest winds are located.
And I would look at Frankfurt there. It's certainly ramping up, it looks like.
All right. So let me point this out where we have, again, heavy wind moving into northern Trimble County, not far from Bedford. Carroll County could see some of this wind pushing out ahead of Madison. So it's well past Madison. It's about to outrun its polygon, meaning the warning. Mount Sterling next in line. Let's go over to Brian. He's always focused on another storm than what we're looking at here in the Keys. So, Brian, you mentioned Frankfurt, another pocket of heavy wind there.
Yeah, so far we haven't had anything reported severe, but it is certainly ramping up. You're looking at the wind fields, and again, not to get too caught up in the colors, but red being the wind blowing away from the radar, being green toward, and the way Frankfurt is positioned from Fort Knox where the radar is, you can almost see exactly how the wind is kind of just blasting through there on the eastern side, especially the southern side, really, Frankfurt. Let me kind of back this up just a couple of frames. Let me zoom back out just a tad. You can see in the past couple of frames there does enhance right there along I-64 into Franklin County at the moment, to see when we get on some of these speeds there in that area. Let's see, about 41 miles per hour. I mean, we've seen these numbers come in low on the velocity, but the reality ends up being a little bit higher in pockets that the radar's not catching. But I would say right around 64 Frankfurt, that's where we could get maybe a severe thunderstorm warning out of that as it moves quickly. There it goes, another enhanced. Now, that is actually the northeast side of Anderson County. Right into, is that Millville?
Yep.
It's hard to see. That's where the strongest wind pocket now is. It's right on the county line there, Franklin. So we'll see what happens there for Northeast Anderson. Right on the edge here of our viewing area, but I know a lot of you are still watching right now and streaming from Frankfurt and even Lexington. So I know you guys are curious about what's coming your way, and that is a cell that is trying to power back up and is heading due east there, heading off toward east of Frankfurt there, Kevin.
All right. Appreciate that update. When we look at sort of the whole picture, we still have the severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock. Now, obviously, we have winds that are blowing even faster. And once these move through, some of this area of the watch will be allowed to expire before 8 o'clock. When you check the radar, you can see the bulk of it's now already passing Louisville. Now, it begs the question, will we see more storms? And the answer is yes. The question is the timing. We'll show you that larger picture in just a second. Brian's working on that. Meanwhile, to our south, we're watching the thunderstorms moving south of Louisville. And as we take a closer view of those storms, noting that the only two severe are just about to move out of our viewing area. But the ones to our south, while they are not severe, sub-severe, they still have pockets of wind, heavy rain, and a lot of lightning. Again, velocity becomes our friend in situations like this where we can see pockets of heavy wind not far from Radcliffe, another one near Elizabethtown. We see a little bit of a wind maker not far from New Haven. That's my hometown. And then again, winds blowing out northern parts of Marion County on the southern part of Washington County. So from Booker down to Loretto, somewhere in between there, perhaps a little burst of wind. And the same story is true near Lebanon, where you see the reds and the greens. It's not a tight couplet, so it's not like we have massive rotation, but something more of where winds are going in opposite directions, maybe a little bit of a downburst possibility there. So those are areas where we could have at least some wind. Here in Louisville, our winds have been over 40 miles an hour at times. And when we look at the radar view down there, we have a lot of heavy rain falling as well. Farther to the south, where that heavy rain has been falling in parts of Adair County, we also have a flash flood warning. We'll take you down there. There's Campbellsville. This is Taylor County. You get a little farther to the south, Columbia's Adair County, and over near Gentry's Mill. We still have some rain there, so that flash flooding, again, low-lying area south of the lake. So if you go to Green River Lake, you know where we're talking about. It's just south of there where we have some flooding potential going on. Hence the flash flood warning. Let me go back to our home view before I do a new severe thunderstorm warning coming out. Again, this one is going to be for Franklin. Again, that's the storm that Brian was just telling everybody about. Go back to our home view here, and we'll go to the view of Franklin County. That's the severe thunderstorm warning. And the severe thunderstorm warning for that storm will go until 5:15. We notice that's for Fayette, Franklin, Scott, and Woodford counties. That is for 60-mile-per-hour winds. That will be tracking off to the east. That storm moving at about 35 to 40 miles per hour. Again, that is the severe thunderstorm warning for Franklin County. Once that storm moves out of Franklin County, and I'm just going to move the sort of radar to get the whole view in, it's pretty much past Frankfurt, the strongest of the winds already moving out of the county most likely. So a little late on Franklin County, that'll be trimmed back. But luckily we were able to give you that little bit of a warning. Lawrenceburg seeing some of those winds as well. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke, who has an update.
Yeah, guys, we do have quite a few trees and power lines down in the Louisville metro area right now. We have not confirmed any of these locations just yet. So I at least want to just say generally there is damage within the city here because of the winds, the downburst winds and the wet ground. And also we've got some MPING reports. Basically, MPING is the project from the National Weather Service and the University of Oklahoma that allows you with the MPING app to submit your damage and flooding reports here. And look at all the flooding reports within Jefferson and Floyd counties here. Wherever you see the yellow, that's street flooding, creek flooding, more of a minor flooding situation in the green here. So this is still taking place, even though the rain is starting to, abate here in the city. We still have flooding issues. We still have traffic lights that are flashing. Heard of a report of some traffic lights flashing on Nulu from you folks at home on social media here. So keep sending in those reports if you're watching us on our live stream on either YouTube or the Wave Weather Facebook page, guys.
All right, Ryan, we just got the report in 57 miles per hour in Frankfurt.
Wow.
That was a measured wind gust that came in just a few moments ago. Here is a very unique map. You're not going to see this very often. You only really would see it in a July setting, let alone the last day of July. We got temperatures in the 60s. We've got temperatures near 90 as you head to the south of that, out of the rain field. Now let me show you the heat index. Currently, we've got 99 is what it feels like in Hardinsburg. It feels like 106 in Jasper, 98 in Munfordville. Look at Owensboro, 106. There's a lot of moisture in the air today. If you walked outside, we always say it's air you can wear, but it's pretty much air you couldn't really breathe today. It was so humid outside. That has led to the flash flooding threat and the downburst wind scenario. The problem we've got, as I go into a much more of a wider view, is that moisture moisture is still here. We've taken out some of the fuel as far as what we call CAPE or storm energy. That has been reduced for a while. But the problem is we have not had a cold front come through. This is the same exact really air mass. It's just been yanked down a bit on moisture levels, but look how much moisture there is still out there as we head to the west. Let me show you the latest modeling now. As I mentioned before, the modeling's been kind of garbage today, but it's the best we got right now to kind of show you a visual setup of how things will progress. And it is showing that after the storms fade out, the current batch to the south, we could get more that will develop in the 9 o'clock hour, and then additional storms that may develop again as we head into tomorrow. Kevin, I don't have it here, but we are watching for the potential for perhaps a significant severe weather setup, especially for Indianapolis, where they could go an enhanced risk from the Storm Prediction Center tomorrow. That is possible. We'll be monitoring that not only now for flash flooding, it's going to be an issue for everything that comes through, but perhaps more of a damaging wind scenario. And I'm hoping the way it's looking, that will be the last and the series of storms that have lasted now for 72 hours.
Yeah, it's been a wild deal. And again, we were explaining it's sort of all building on this ring of fire around the high pressure that's set up out to our west, where they've been just hot and dry. But around the edge of that high pressure, the peripheral of that, we get these repeat rounds of thunderstorms. They build in and then they just follow that train track right down in here. And that's what we've been seeing over the last 2-3 days. And that's what we will likely see into the day tomorrow, gradually moving that track out of our area and allowing things to calm down just a bit as we slide into the weekend. The only warning we currently have in place for the viewing area includes a very small chunk of Franklin County. We're going to stay with you for just a couple more minutes here, and then we're going to get you back to your normal activities. Once we get this past us, I think all will be quieting down for our viewing area. To our south, we'll watch these storms, but that's more of a heavy rain scenario as opposed to a high wind event. So that is a lot of water falling with a lot of lightning across our southern counties, and that continues to track off to the south. Let me put it into motion for you. It's been a while since we've done that, but we can see the direction of movement in these. The collision caused some very heavy rain to fall here in Louisville, and now that has moved to our south, we still see heavy rain, but it's a little bit broader. Even in Louisville, notice the narrow line of that. So it's, again, that collision. It's where we have those two sort of impact areas across the metro, causing some wind upwards of 40 to 50 miles per hour in some cases. And now we have 57 mile per hour winds over in Frankfurt. So that's the reason for that warning. But as these continue to drift off to the south, producing heavy rain, flooding is a problem. Let the storms pass, let the water recede, and then go about your business. Most places are going to be A-OK with what's happening on the radar now. Where we have had some issues would be where we have the Boeing segments to our north. Those are easing just a bit as they push into Carroll County. That should move just south of Cincinnati. It's going to take aim on the northern parts of Lexington, along with this cluster of storms moving out of Frankfurt. So Lexington would be next in line for the potential of any type of severe weather, meaning those strong winds moving in. The storms hit us this afternoon. While it snarled traffic, things are starting to come back just a little bit closer to normal. But that is the scenario that we have moving through across the entire region. When we look at the wind values on these, I'm just going to stop the radar. I'm going to put the velocity on. We'll take just a quick peek at some of the wind that we noted across the area, especially over into parts of Franklin County. You'll notice the brighter colors. That's sort of an indicator of where we have some of the strong wind. So I'll point out that yes, these pockets of the pinks that move through Frankfurt, now moving down toward Versailles, should be moving closer to Lexington. That's that pocket of wind that produced winds of 57 miles per hour. When we zoom out, go back to the north, you're going to notice some of those downpours also producing some strong winds not far from Bedford and Campbellsburg, right along the I-71 corridor. So that's another pocket of heavy wind that we're tracking that will be moving off to the south and east as well.
They just gusted about 37 miles per hour in Carrollton.
Okay, so 37 miles per hour, Carrollton. That gives you an idea of what we're looking at not far from that storm. So that, again, is a pocket of heavy wind. Wind is only one feature, and in fact, it could be argued that the heavy rain is a more prominent feature going on right now. Brian's keeping an eye on some of the rain totals falling across the metro. Impressive in some areas.
Well, and that's the interesting thing. Look at Prospect. There's no doubt that gets your attention. 4.49. But they've had rain in the past 30 minutes, and that number has not moved. So I think the power is out, or the gauge somehow has been malfunctioned. I'm not really sure, because I've been watching the trends. They have had additional rain, but the number has not changed. So I would say it's probably closer to about 4 3/4 or even 5 inches of rain that probably fell there into Prospect. That we'll have to find out what the official total is once we get past all this. But you see a large area here as widespread. Officially at the airport, a little over 0.8 of an inch. Bowman Field was just under 1 inch of rain. But where you see the yellows, that's where you're going to get your 2-inch rain totals. Certainly the eastern part of the metro. The western part, for those of you on Dixie Highway, you're probably like, okay, we had some heavy rain, 1/4 to 1/2 inch, but we didn't get anything that was to the level of what the eastern side of Jefferson County is. And you're right. It was mainly Oldham County, down in through Prospect, J-Town, where I believe J-Town at one point the rainfall rate was over 5.5 inches per hour. That was the rate, not the amount, but the rate, how heavy it was coming down. You cannot see driving in that at all. So I can only imagine what it was like on, say, Belton Road, Hurstbourne Parkway, and the Snyder. Then you get into Mount Washington, another round of very heavy rain that fell in that area as well. But as we were mentioning, it's just very heavy rain, a lot of moisture in the air in general. So any additional downpours tonight, and we will likely get additional downpours tonight, could cause some problems for us. Let me show you real quick before I leave here. This is going to be a live image into E-Town. This is where that gust front, the storms themselves are just now approaching into the E-Town area. The camera's going to kick in, but you get the idea.
Nice lightning there.
Lightning, though, yeah.
Well, good. I'm glad it was aimed that way. Downtown. And Kevin mentioned that. There was a lot of cloud to ground lightning. And Ryan, that's the type that just that crackles in your ear. And that's terrifying, even for all of us as weather lovers. We hate that sound.
Yeah, lightning is about the worst thing you can have because you can't control it. You have to be inside, away from doors and windows. I did have a question earlier about lightning. Is inside of a vehicle safe in an electrical storm? Yes, it is. The metal around you in a car, as long as your windows are rolled up and your doors are closed, acts as a Faraday cage. So it conducts around you. So good news there. If you're in a vehicle during a storm, that is a safe place to be when there's lightning. All right, speaking of vehicles, let's get you a little traffic first. This is I-65 at Crittenden Drive. You'll notice they've turned the camera facing northbound, but still, or southbound, I should say, but the northbound lanes are the ones that are still kind of clogged up at this point. We still have that one vehicle there that's on the side of the road there. This is I-71 right at the Waterson. This is northbound, or I should say southbound, right into.
It's never good when they're aimed in the wrong direction.
Yeah, so that means there was some spinning that happened there, which is like not good, right? Here's the traffic map. A lot less of the red and orange than when we had, say, about 30 minutes ago, but still not great. You'll notice that the Waterson, which this time of day is typically a problem, is a problem right now, as well as 65 southbound. Taking that home this evening is going to be kind of rough. And then once again, 265 in Indiana also having some troubles at this point. There's that one crash that we saw with the truck kind of turned the wrong direction there. 71 southbound moving toward downtown Louisville from the Waterson. I do want to get you to, of course, a couple of the power outage numbers that we have here, and you'll see that Jefferson County is lit up. I'm going to attempt to do this here. Hopefully this will work by the phone that I'm using here, and we'll be able to query some of these counties here. And there we go. Jefferson County, 4,312 customers currently without power in Jefferson County. And a lot of those are going to be in eastern Jefferson County, where we've had some tree damage and some power lines taken down there. And let's query one more county if we can here. Let's go for Bullitt County here. And that's where we have about 1,200 customers without power. That's about 3% of the county out, guys. Again, it's not just the water. It's the wind, too, coupled with the wet ground that we've been talking about all afternoon here. So it doesn't take a severe thunderstorm warning to cause damage in this kind of scenario.
Yeah, that's for sure. So, again, we're now on day 3 with thousands of people in our viewing area without power. One more check-in with Brian. He's going to go get his hair cut, and then we'll roll into the 5 o'clock newscast coming up.
What are you talking about? I'm busy. I'm doing things.
I saw you you're probably like texting the barber or whatever, being like, hey, I'm sorry. I'm in some. I know how this works.
Well, I was actually checking my rain gauge. I had 0.85.
What do you have in your rain gauge?
0.85.
I'm going to check mine. Now
which I know that my yard is underwater. My turtles are loving it, I'm sure, because they just swim around in the yard. They think it's one big giant pond now. And 71 degrees. right now at my house. So that's going to be easy on the, well, I'll say easy on the AC, but it's still humid, right? So even though we dropped the temperature down, there's still a lot of moisture in the air. That hasn't really changed a whole lot. But
we all feel like turtles.
We'll come on over for a swim. We'll take whatever we can on that. But yeah, Kevin, that's what we're going to be watching is not only the current round that's going to be easing down because the wind fields are going to continue to weaken and push east and south. So we're about ready to lose a lot of the kick out of this particular wave. And what we need to get another round of showers will be another impulse. There is one that's pretty persistent in Illinois, but really struggling to really get widespread. So I think it's going to be much more spotty as we head into the evening and overnight hours. But we'll be watching what happens in the Midwest tonight and see if that leads to heavy rain tomorrow morning, which is possible. Tawana Andrews going to, of course, keep an eye on that for tomorrow morning in case we have problems then.
Yeah, I have a feeling tomorrow another alert day will be needed, and that is a day we'll be tracking some storms. All right, appreciate that, Brian. We're going to wrap up here mentioning that we have the area surrounding Louisville as the flash flood warning, but the heaviest rain has passed us, so any problems will be easing. That rain is now well to our south. That's where we have heavy rain falling with a tremendous amount of lightning. The severe weather that we had for Franklin County is now moving off to the east, moving through Woodford County. That is approaching Lexington, so moving away from us. So as we begin to wrap things up here on our live stream, I want to let you know that we will be coming on at 5 o'clock with another news update. Obviously, we'll have a lot of weather information in there as well. With that, we're back on at 6 o'clock with a full newscast on Wave and NBC, and then again at 7 and 11. So our newscasts are a little bit tighter during the Olympics because we're bringing you as much as we can on NBC and all of the NBC properties, including Peacock and everywhere else that they have all of the Olympic Games going on for the Summer Olympics. So rolls around every 4 years. Bad timing on these storms, by the way, because now it's a constant juggle of, well, where are we going to be on? So you're getting a lot more weather information this time around simply because we are in our studios as opposed to our Now Desk, which is where we sometimes deliver that information. So we still have lightning going on across parts of the area. You can even see with these lighter showers, the downpours coming in. So I noticed we're in a national break. Should we jump in to this? I'm asking the control. Oh, that's just a 30-second break. Okay. Sorry, I was trying to be mindful of listening. I haven't always heard the cues earlier today. But you'll notice to our south those downpours moving through. I tell you what, we'll stay on another 5 minutes. Brian, thank you for your help today. And always, we'll see you back tomorrow. I know you're going to get out of here. Ryan, for the next 6 minutes, let's just walk folks through what's happening. We'll just keep the stream on so we don't have to reset. And then we'll come into our 10-day forecast. I'll show you what that is coming up at the top of the newscast at 5 o'clock. So John and Myra will come in here. We'll have the news because there has been some news going on today. So we'll be recapping that. We have crews that are out looking at some of this damage that's been going on across the area. So I'm going to zoom into that and just point out these reports that we've had of we'll start with the local storm reports. And you're going to notice we did have some small hail earlier in parts of southern Indiana. That small hail was just that. It was fairly small, didn't cause a lot of problems. We have had some flooding down across parts of western Washington County. Now, your reports also come in, and they're very helpful on the MPing, and that gives us an idea of where we had wind issues. And when we look at the wider map in terms of wind, notice the power pole snapped. We had that, and that's why we have some power outages over near the Anchorage area, and some of the trash cans that have been blown around in some parts of Harrison County, western Jefferson County, downtown. Same story down in Elizabethtown and over into Frankfort. We've obviously had some strong winds that pushed through. Louisville measured winds in order of about 46 miles an hour. That's below severe limits, but it's still strong. Now our gusts have faded and our winds are off from the east at about 14 miles an hour. We had strong winds in Madison, Carrollton, and Frankfort. So those are areas we've measured winds anywhere between 40 to 60 miles per hour this afternoon. So those were some strong winds that moved through. And now we continue to track on the big board the severe thunderstorm warning, but it's out of Franklin County, really. It's already pushing toward Woodford, but another 20 minutes on that warning. Our SkyTrack camera shows Elizabethtown seeing the darkening skies as the rain moves closer to those folks. So John Bowles, we don't have to worry about the tornado safe place. In fact, we'll cue through the graphics. Let's go over to Ryan Hoke.
Okay, yeah, as my graphics are spinning up right now, we will, of course.
Sorry, I've clicked one too many buttons over here, so now we're going through all of
Brian
those.
and I just switched out workspaces here, so my graphics are still trying to
All right,
spin
well,
up here.
we can come back because I can show you the power outages
Yeah,
here.
let's go to Kevin for just a second, then we'll come back to me. I'm getting spun up
Good.
here.
You mentioned that, and we'll come back to you. But you can see about 4,300 customers without power here in Jefferson County. That seems like a lot, but in comparison, it's a small number. When you look at many of our counties, though, I mean, we have at least some power outages, less than 1% for most, but 2%, that's 333 down in parts of Grayson County. And then as we work our way into Hardin County, you're going to notice about 1,100, almost 1,200 customers without power. Let's just go through the counties. Bullitt County, we're watching you. You can imagine on a day like today, if your power is out, it is hot, it is humid, you are sweating inside if that's the case. 1,200 without power in Bullitt County. All right, let's go to Nelson County. Nelson County has 128. Not bad there. What about Spencer County? Hello, Taylorsville. 190 customers out there. Shelby County, here you are, 1,400 customers without power. That's 6%. What about Franklin County? We know we had winds there closing in on 60 miles an hour and customers out 593 right now. Southern Indiana, we measured winds up around Madison, 16 customers out there. Oh, no, that's Trimble County. I didn't have my finger high enough. Let's go to Jefferson County, Indiana, 235. So you get the idea. We still have a couple thousand or several thousand people across the viewing area without power at this time. With that said, we're going to see some improvement. We have the watch that's in place. We have seen warnings. Currently, no warnings for our viewing area. Temperatures are running in the 70s in Louisville, 60s in Madison, 90s in Evansville. Factor in that humidity, and it is closer to 100 out that way. Quick update with Ryan Hoke.
Yeah, here we go now with the potential for more storms tonight here. I did want to show you what's going on near Springfield, Illinois. We just talked about this, but I wanted to put some data with this as well. And you'll notice, of course, the storms that have moved through here, those storms are out there. The question is, will we see the potential for additional thunderstorms this evening? And as I step through Futurecast, you'll notice a few cells are possible a little closer to sunset tonight. I don't think this will be too big of a deal. We've had a clean sweep here with these storms that have moved through today. Most of the overnight looks pretty dry, and then we start to key in on additional storm chances, possibly tomorrow morning, but a much better chance of those storms as we head throughout tomorrow afternoon. And that's when we could pick up some potentially significant severe weather here, Kevin. That's something we got to watch for tomorrow, maybe a wave weather alert day.
Yeah, probably we'll be flagging that as a weather alert day for tomorrow, and we'll see another scattered storm chance Friday. I've got the 10-day forecast coming up in less than a couple of minutes here. Once again, just to recap as we launch into our 5 o'clock, we've got showers and thunderstorms, severe weather moving out of our viewing area, pushing over toward Lexington. Flash flooding has been a problem, slowing down the afternoon commute. We're coming up in just about 10 seconds to the top of the hour, and that will take us into Wave News at 5 o'clock. Myra Ansari and John Bowler standing by with the day's top news. We'll lead with weather, and then we'll get into the day's news. It's time for Wave News at 5 on our streaming channels.
With Alert Day coverage now, this is Wave News.
Alert Day coverage continues. Severe thunderstorms rolling through, flash flooding and power outages, the big concerns at this hour. We've captured some of the rain coming down in the Nulu area, and our downtown SkyTrack camera shows how hard it has been to see there against the skyline. We thank you for joining us for Wave News at 5 tonight. I'm John Bowl.
And I'm Myra Ansari. Our Wave Storm Tracking team has been keeping an eye on this system. Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned joins us now with all the information to time it all out.
Yeah, we'll do just that. I'll take you through what we expect to have happen over the next couple of days. First of all, we still technically have the severe thunderstorm watch until 8 o'clock, but as the time wears on, the bulk of this is moving to our south, and we'll be fading this out of here. Additional storms will be possible late tonight, early tomorrow, and those could be robust as well. Here's the current view of the radar. Yes, we still have powerful thunderstorms across far eastern parts of Jefferson County, Indiana, Carroll County, Trimble County, Henry County, moving into Franklin, Shelby, as we work our way down into Nelson, Washington, Marion, even farther to the south as we get into parts of Taylor, Greene, LaRue, even parts of Hardin County. all seeing thunderstorms with heavy rain and a lot of lightning. Currently, our warnings are limited moving over toward Lexington. So I'll start by giving you a little radar tour, including Lexington, but really focusing on our viewing area, the cluster of storms passing Carrollton. So that's moving out of the viewing area. Lighter rain behind it. You'll notice even in the light rain, we have the potential. Say that again. Sorry, someone was talking to me, but I was trying to hear you. You will notice that we do have the flash flood warning in Louisville, and then we wind up seeing additional downpours farther to the south. Again, heavy rain and a lot of lightning, but no warnings. And that's the good news when we take a look at the current radar view. So we've been tracking those. Let me give you the 10-day forecast. Quickly walk through this. You'll notice additional thunderstorms coming our way for tomorrow. In your Thursday forecast, rain chances, again, in the morning hours, 40%. Afternoon and evening could wind up with some strong storms once again. We'll be tracking those through tomorrow. Notice on the future cast, they're spotty early, meaning overnight, early morning. And then as the day wears on, we build up the heat and the energy. And there you see it. Some of those waves of storms moving through again could pack a significant punch with a lot of wind, heavy rain, and lightning. We see the scattered storm chance gradually fade Friday and Saturday. Temperatures in the 90s, easing back into the upper 80s on Saturday. Sunday, a drier day, but still hot, so not as humid as it has been. We'll sort of push this front through here. That'll lower the humidity values. And then we're back into the 90s for high temperatures for a good chunk of next week. Another front moves in next Thursday. That'll cool us back into the 80s, it looks like, with a chance for showers and thunderstorms. That's a look at the 10-day forecast. We'll get over to John and Myra for the day's news.
Thanks, Kevin. We've learned the name of the man who was killed over near West Broadway. That shooting happened 5:30 Saturday afternoon on Esquire Alley. The coroner's office says the victim is 38-year-old Antoine Morris. LMPD has arrested Jamerick Smith and Adrian Burdett here in connection to the shooting. Burdett is charged with murder and possession of a handgun. Smith is charged with complicity to murder. Police say Smith helped Burdett search for the victim and was the getaway driver.
The Louisville pediatrician who pleaded guilty to trying to hire a hitman to kill her ex-husband is going to serve 12 years in federal prison.
Stephanie Russell was given the maximum sentence possible under a plea agreement she took, even though she tried 3 more times to organize another hit on her ex after the guilty plea. Wave News reporter Mark Stevens found the judge didn't include that behavior in the sentence.
Yeah, the judge's sentence seems to suggest federal prosecutors could file new charges against Russell after showing evidence she tried to get inmates in the Oldham County Jail to help connect her with biker gangs to put out a hit on her ex-husband. He was in court and asked the judge to give her the maximum sentence, saying he believes she won't ever stop. Russell's initial murder for hire plot was foiled when she ended up trying to organize it with an undercover FBI agent. The judge reviewed 20 minutes of those recorded phone calls in his chambers during a portion of this sentencing hearing. But the big argument today was whether parts of Russell's plea deal should be changed to reflect what happened after she pleaded guilty back in April. She asked 3 inmates in jail with her to help organize a hit on her ex-husband shortly before and in the days after she'd already pleaded guilty. Those inmates reported the information to their attorneys and jail staff. Russell's attorneys tried to explain away part of her behavior, saying she was suffering from severe delusions, but the government said baloney and compared Russell to the horror story Jekyll and Hyde, successfully taking care of children as a pediatrician, but falsely accusing her ex-husband of physically and sexually abusing their children before trying to have him killed.
I agree that she probably needs some mental health treatment, among other things, just for the process she's been through in the last 2 years or more with this situation. I don't think it would hurt her, for sure.
Russell's lawyers have asked to have her sent to a prison with adequate mental health services. Judge David Hale agreed. He also wondered aloud about how Russell could have lived such a dual life, although he said perhaps there is no answer. Now, Russell's ex-husband has been working remotely for several months because of her actions and continued threats on his life. Russell will be under a no-contact order when she's released next decade. Mark Stevens, Wave News.
Thank you, Mark. We are now hearing from family and friends grieving after a teenager died at Nolan Lake just a week ago today. Wave News reporter Kirsten Foote talked with the family about it today.
Yeah, Isaac Mangaro was just celebrating his 18th birthday on July 2nd. He was enjoying a fun day at Nolan Lake celebrating another friend's birthday and looked forward to entering his senior year of high school at Portland Christian School.
He's just an amazing young boy and who had a bright future ahead of him.
The 18-year-old's loved ones describe him as humble.
He loved playing soccer, listening to jazz music, and was an integral part of his church's community. He had an exceptional thirst for knowledge.
Every time I spoke to him, in our African culture, we always joke about when are you getting married? When are you having kids? Something like that. But he was like, I'm going to finish my education. I'm going to get my master's degrees in IT. And then we can talk about that. So he loves school.
Mangara was an incoming senior at Portland Christian School. Dennis Brooks, a family friend of Mangara's, only knew him for a year and a half when Mangara, his mother, and siblings came to Louisville from Kenya to be with their father, a pastor who had been here for the 3 years prior. They instantly made a connection.
I first met him at the airport. But just, the thing about Isaac, he had a beautiful smile. When he would see you and then he would smile at you, I mean, it was just light up the room.
Mangara was enjoying a day at the lake on July 24th with friends from school when, in a tragic turn of events, he disappeared, prompting a search of the area. Later on, Mangara's body was found under the dock after it had appeared he had slipped and fallen in. In light of the tragedy, friends and family are working to preserve Mangara's passion for education through a scholarship fund to Portland Christian School.
Any kid, it could be an immigrant kid who's willing to continue education, and they can be able to continue on that Isaac legacy.
Nkurunziza and the family say they've leaned on their faith, giving them strength, turning sadness into hope.
Just that.
If you'd like to make a donation to the Scholarship Fund in honor of Isaac Mangara, you can click on this story on our website. That's wave3.com.
Thank you, Kirsten. The deputy mayor is the latest victim of Louisville's crime crisis.
Wave News troubleshooter Natalia Martinez talked with Mayor Greenberg's chief of staff, Keisha Dorsey, about witnessing her mother's car being stolen.
Luckily, she and her mom are okay physically. I talked with the deputy mayor, Keisha Dorsey, this afternoon, and she was really emotional, told me that it was a rather traumatic experience being violated at her own home. This happened last night. Dorsey told me that she watched as her mother's car was stolen, and the thieves even came into her privacy fence. Dorsey is the mayor's deputy chief of staff. She served on Metro Council, too. This afternoon, we talked about how crime can happen to everyone in the city, regardless of who you are and where you live. Dorsey told me it really resonated and fueled her desire to put an end to crime in Louisville. And she knows now firsthand what that violation feels like. It's far too common. I pulled up LMPD's CompStat report. That's a weekly number sheet, essentially, with all crimes by division broken down. In their latest report, I found that 405 auto thefts have been reported to LMPD so far this year. Dorsey told me she will have a statement for the public to talk about this, and we'll have that up as soon as she sends it. As for her car, LAPD did find it today, and she told me that it was in pretty good shape. Natalia Martinez, Wave News.
Thank you, Natalia. New here at 5, Anchorage Public Schools could delay its start date after mold was found inside the building. The mold was discovered in several areas of the building last week after heavy rains and flood leaks. Anchorage School is limiting access to the building until the mold issue is fixed, and they've made requests to the school board and the Kentucky Department of Education to delay their start date. The school has hired professionals to come in and inspect the building. They're also working to secure contractors for roof repairs, mold cleanup, and HVAC adjustments. Anchorage School says that there will be a final round of testing before the school year starts next Wednesday.
Students in New Albany, Floyd County schools have been making their way home from the first day of school.
Wave News reporter Marissa Burke stopped by this morning where the students were eager to get back into the classroom.
Students from 5th grade all the way to 8th grade are excited to be back at Scribner Middle School for their first day. For some, this school year marks a transition for them, going from middle school to high school, something they say Scribner Middle has been preparing them for since day one.
I'm trying to keep my grades up because I want to earn a scholarship to go to college I want.
It's Kenya Green's last year at Scribner Middle, so she has high expectations. This year, she's aiming for straight A's. Green believes she can do this because of Scribner's staff, specifically her former geography teacher.
Kenya, I know you can be better. I know you can push yourself harder than what you are doing right now. And I said, I know that too. Deep inside, I knew that as well. And he was encouraging me to keep pushing and pushing. And I finally got my grade back up to an A.
Another 8th grader described the atmosphere at Scribner as teamwork, and encouraging. These are some of the same traits Takar Turner plans to embody and become a role model for other students.
So, like, I want to keep my grades up, do good in school, pay attention. I guess I will have my slip-ups, but I want to be something that they could look up to and be like, I want to do that when I grow up or be 8th grade. I want to be like that, you know?
Turner tells me she rides the bus, and Wednesday's trip wasn't the best. New Albany Floyd County Schools Superintendent Travis Madison says the district did not make any big changes to the routes themselves. He asked for patience as they sort out any difficulties.
And like I said, there's always a few issues that you have here and there, but we've been trying to be mindful of that and try to be proactive in that. So
Parents of Floyd County students have been sharing some concerns about the new transportation app called Stop Finder. One student said that riding the buses on the first day was, quote, chaotic. We'll continue to look into the issue and bring you updates as they become available. Reporting, Marissa Burke, Wave News.
City of Jeffersonville is providing fire protection services to Utica Townships, part of an automatic aid agreement that was approved this morning. Jeffersonville Fire will now automatically respond to fire and other emergencies in the township's fire district. That decision follows concerns about New Chapel's response times, and it ties to former New Chapel CEO Jamie Knoll. Jeffersonville Fire Chief Sean Grant says his department has the resources to cover an additional area without compromising fire protection in Jeffersonville.
New here at 5, 10 Scott County inmates. They just graduated from the first OSHA 10 jail pilot program in the nation. The program is through a partnership between Ivy Tech Sellersburg, River Valley Resources, and the Carpenters Union and the Scott County Sheriff's Department. The graduates received an OSHA 10 certification, which provides them with basic and more advanced training about common safety and health hazards on the job. After being released from jail, many of the graduates, they're going to have a construction and industrial maintenance job lined up. The hope is to expand this program to county jails across the state.
It is a challenge to get fresh water to some places around the world. We're going to share how one local organization is working to improve access. Still ahead. Let's get back into Alert Day coverage because now our focus is south of Louisville.
Yeah, let's get to Chief Meteorologist Kevin Harned. Kevin, this is day, 3 of Alert Day?
Yeah, we got one eye open by this point in the deal. Green, LaRue, Marion, Taylor, you've been under this severe thunderstorm warning for a few minutes. Again, it goes until 5:30 for 60-mile-per-hour winds. We are tracking this off to the south. Some of these storms today have produced some wind damage. When I show you the velocity in this, you're going to see the pockets of wind that we're talking about. The one is is moving toward the Campbellsville area. So eventually Campbellsville down toward Green River Lake, you're going to see that push of wind move in your direction, could down a few trees, could see some power outages in places. Back to the radar view and then our home view, you will notice at that point that the bulk of the rain is south of Louisville, moving off to our east. So while we technically have the flash flood warning here, things are easing. The storms to our south are the ones we'll be watching. Main threat, heavy rain, the lightning, and of course, those winds in those few pockets, guys.
All right. Thanks so much, Kevin. A Louisville nonprofit